Should you play NIKKE in 2024? Once again, from the perspective of a new player, which for most of us, it's always hard to see things from that, right? It's like, okay, should you play? For me, as a day one player that have everything, of course, the game is good, right? But how does a new player feel about the NIKKE experience?
One of these videos that says, should you play XYZ in whatever year it is? And then the video is just some guy who's been playing since release, has everything that the game's ever put out, and really doesn't have any idea what the new player experience is like.
I feel
Whenever
called
I see
out.
these IGER migraine at some of the takes they have.
I feel called out, but still.
I have great news for you then, because I am not that person whatsoever. I actually started my NIKKE journey in 2024, just like you might be doing if you watch this video and decide to play it. To give you some context on what kind of NIKKE player I am, I actually...
Level 252 account. I see the Alice Diary not finished yet, so pretty new player. I see you have good taste on your treasure because you were for Frima first. Good fucking background. Look at that girl. Looking at you. Wants to sleep with you. Take a nap with you. Best waifu.
Actually did start for a small time in 2023, but only played for a couple days. It didn't really grip me, and decided to try again in January 2024. And since then,
to be honest, 2022 and 2023, the NIKKE experience wasn't as great as it is right now. Quite different and quite more shit compared to right now for a new player.
I've been casually playing NIKKE every day for I guess like 8 months now. So because of that, I have a really good idea myself of like how far you can progress your account as a new player and kind of the things you need to do and like what your goals should be, right? My goal in this video is not to overwhelm you guys, because you might be looking at the screen right now and you're like, what the hell are all these buttons? It's just kind of the nature of gacha games. There's like a million different modes and a million different currencies. I'm not going to talk about all these buttons. I'm going to give you like a major overview of the pillars of gameplay that you'll kind of be working towards and doing, and kind of give you
also, I'm sorry, my brother, for being on your face. It wasn't intentional, okay? It wasn't intentional. I'll just be on top. On top. Looks good, right?
That sounds fun or not to you? The first thing I want to talk about is the combat in this game, because I mean that's the reason that most people play video games, right? Is like, what is the actual gameplay? What are you actually going to be doing? Now I see a lot of people say that NIKKE is more of an idle game, right? Where you're not really engaging, you're just kind of watching your characters play the game for you. And for me personally, to be honest,
and I think it's important for people to understand that it's an idle game. As a free-to-play, it's important to understand this is an idle game and you will be stuck a lot of times. At the beginning, you have a lot of things to do. But afterwards, it's logging in, 5 minutes, you're out.
Honest with you guys, 95% of the combat in this game I do play in like an idle fashion. I just put it on auto battle and kind of watch my NIKKEs do their thing. That 5% is actually pretty fun, and most of what you're doing in that 5% is the bosses. So I'll show you a few modes that are kind of the end game modes that you'll be working towards. The first is the campaign, which is the actual story. It's like the story and the campaign missions are tied into each other in this game. So right now I am hard tapped at chapter 21.
Ali was saying, if he's stuck in Motherwell, I have a video for him, and he's stuck in Motherwell. This is the worst boss for most people, I would say, or for like a new player that you start the game, and it's like easy progression or pretty painless until you get here. Because Motherwell, it's kind of a wall for a lot of people. It's one of the first bosses. Dragon Mummy Nihilister, nowadays is easier for all of the units we have. But Motherwell is still a pain in the ass. It's literally still a pain in the ass.
This is the infamous whale boss, so a lot of people get stuck on this boss. To be honest, I haven't retried it in a couple of months. I'm sure that now, at the level that my account is at, I could probably beat this, but this is really tough. The story in this game is super tough. There's the normal mode and the hard mode, and that...
Now, his team is pretty fucking stacked for an 8-month-old account. I see Litter, Crown Naga, SBS, and Red Hood. It's a pretty good team.
Is, especially in the beginning, kind of what you're going to be working towards is building your units so you can get through the campaign. The one part that really sucks about this campaign is that I really enjoy the story, like the narrative components of the story, but I'm not allowed to continue it because I can't beat certain levels, and I think a lot of people experience that. There's actually like 32 chapters, so I'm only 2/3 of the way done, and I want to continue that narrative, but I can't until I improve my combat capabilities, so that is one downside of NIKKE compared to a game.
A lot of people have said this. Now, I'm someone who skips story. I don't care, right? Personally, I don't care. But for all of you who would like a story and are newer players into the game, is this an issue for you guys? Where you want to keep reading the story, but you cannot progress because some of the levels or the combat power differences? Is that like a deal breaker or something that pisses you off about NIKKE, right? Something you see as a negative? Because for me, like, right, I'm a day one, so I'm always catch up. When they release new chapters, I complete them the same day. But for a lot of people, you are actually waiting for a couple of months until you can actually progress and keep reading. Not a deal breaker, but definitely aggravating. Always has been. I just watch on YouTube do it to that. It did annoy me. What do you mean it did annoy me, Scarrow? Scarrow, how the fuck does it annoy you? What's up, Mini? Let's put a photo, brother.
It was me when I got stuck in the early days. It was one of the motivator to try hard to continue the story.
Fair enough. Not a deal breaker, but yes, it is annoying that the blue notes that gives you the story should have been so hard locked up. Fair enough.
Game like Blue Archive maybe, where like you have the campaign and then the story, and they're their own two separate things. So you can, you know, go through the narrative if you want, and then be hard stuck on your combat things in another mode. The campaign is the first big pillar of endgame progression that you'll be working towards, and the second is the bossing modes, which are mainly in the endgame going to be these raid modes. So we have two: the Union raid and the solo raid. As I said earlier, I'm going to do my best to not bombard you with a bunch of useless information. All you really need to know about raids is you engage with bosses, right? The Union raids are a little different because it's a series of bosses. It's like a boss rush mode that you'll actually take down with the help of your union, which is like a guild or a clan, you know, like a group of people that you can join to do stuff together. My union is not great. I don't engage with union.
For new players, both the Union raid and solo raid suck ass. All right, Union raid, a rat race, a lot of people piloting. Solo raid, fucking awful. A lot of people piloting and a lot of people paying to be on the top. All right, both suck ass. NIKKE endgame, in my opinion, is bad. Hopefully one day it gets fixed. I don't think it will be.
Rage too much. I'm more of a solo raider as of right now, but as my account has progressed, I am thinking maybe about joining a better union who can kind of compete.
If you're in global, hit me up. You can join Doro Rats, the best union in global. Even if you're on NA, we have spots for Doro Rats NA too. Exactly. Self-promo.
With the rest of the world. So a big portion of the difficulty that comes with these raid modes is that in the end game, you are going to need multiple teams to clear a boss. In the union raids, you need 3 teams, and in the solo raids, you're going to need 5 whole teams. And so that's kind of where your end game progression really starts, is building up a series of 5 teams, right? With the story, you're kind of trying to build up one team to be as powerful as possible. But once you get to this raid stage, it's like you need a variety of different units. And I'll talk more about that when I talk about the gacha system.
All right, that is true, but for new players, don't worry. Don't worry, because union raid, it's 3 teams, which is easier to achieve. And for solo raids, most people don't have 5 teams. I'm not going to speak for me or for people who are min-maxing or wells, all right? Most people don't have 5 teams. Don't worry too much. It will happen over time naturally. Most of us, even myself, sometimes on the last team, I just put random bullshit, right? Random units in there and whatever happens. Are we full? No, we have one spot.
As long as you don't aim for something stupid like top 200, most players can realistically aim for top 3% eventually.
Yep.
It quite PPL whale for solo raid, but it depends on your goal.
100%.
System. But let's actually talk about the combat itself. Is it fun? Is it engaging when you get to the higher levels? Now, I'll be honest, this union raid is going to be super easy. I'm just going to auto battle while I talk because we're only on difficulty 3. Once we get to 5, I might actually have to like actually play the game. But I'm just kind of letting you see how it looks like. So you can switch between 5 different characters, right? And sometimes these little red circles are going to pop up, and I'm actually playing the game right now. You have to get those red circles in time, deal enough damage to them so that the boss doesn't do some like crazy mechanic that's going to kill you, right? I probably could have let it go there because my NIKKE is really high and this is a very low difficulty. But some of the bosses are fun. There's a great variety of them, and some are...
He plays with opacity at 0. Now, that's a chat because he wants to appreciate the assets. Okay, I'm not shaming. That's a chat because he wants to appreciate what's important, but kind of risky. I'm just saying.
More engaging, some are pretty annoying and like kind of have an arbitrary difficulty if you ask me. But I think they're pretty fun, and it is kind of fun to aim. It reminds me of like those old school arcade shooters that you would like. I remember I would go to like pizza places,
rail shooter.
Airport. You do. I can't even remember the name of them. Someone tell me in the comments. But it kind of reminds me of that. It's very unique for a gacha game. There's no other gacha game like this, or really video game nowadays like this. And
I would say that's one of the positives of NIKKE. One of the things that attracts so many people, or so many people stay with, because it's the only gacha game with this mechanic. Over time, we'll get other companies doing similar things, but right now it's the only gacha that is not a chibi auto battler. Because when we talk about idle games, it's chibi auto battlers or 2D auto battlers. There is not like any other options, right?
Is some of the bosses are really fun. There's like a gravedigger boss that is notoriously difficult. The train boss is notoriously difficult. And I would say in that 5% of the game that I'm not just auto battling, I do enjoy the combat and I think it's worthwhile. And we don't have a solo raid running right now, so I can't show you what that looks like, but that is really my favorite part of the combat in this game. That's kind of what I work towards as the month goes on. I don't really engage too much with any other modes besides the solo raid. That's kind of my main form of content as a combat enjoyer. And what you can kind of work towards with that is these avatar frames.
All right. Avatar frames, in my opinion, are kind of bad in this game compared to almost any other gacha. But this is my opinion. Every other gacha game gives you animated frames, cool titles, they glow, they are shiny. NIKKE is like, nah, fuck you. But hey, if you enjoy that, more power to you. So 8 months playing, more or less. He's playing as a casual, right? He has level 236, plenty of frames, 99 characters, so pretty nice because that's pretty close to completion. It's like 133 characters right now, something like that. So pretty good, and 13 costumes. All right.
I'm only able to get in like the top, I think my peak was top 13%, and then you can get like upgraded avatar frames. So this one that I have on right now is, I think, the Gravedigger one, and I've gotten a few for like the Squid Boss and a couple ones. So just kind of a little flair that you can use to flex a little bit. It's something to work towards and like a limited reward that can kind of make you feel like you're good at the game. Now, me personally, in 8 months, I've been able to clear those solo raids and gotten like a pretty good ranking in it, considering I've been playing for less than...
Well, 8 months is pretty good. He's already getting frames, while a lot of people are not even trying challenge mode, right?
Here. Do I think that's a reasonable goal for someone who's just starting the game right now? Yes, you can get there, but I'm going to tell you it's going to be very difficult. There's a few different reasons for that. One has to do with the gacha system, which I'll talk more about, but two is that there are very meta characters that you'll need for pretty much every raid, and if you're missing a couple of those, it's going to be very difficult for you to have like good teams to be able to get to that top percentile, and you're going to have to spend a lot of money on...
Okay, let's be honest, okay? NIKKE doesn't know how to balance. NIKKE, it's like, oh, you have SBS, and then you have Isabel, right? There is a clear difference in between some of the characters in NIKKE. There is like a clear difference between what's good and what's complete and utter garbage. And it's really big, a really big difference. There is not like an in-between where it's like, okay, this is middle. No, it's either usable or not. There is nothing else.
On the gacha if you do want to get them.
Which for new players is a pain in the ass, but yeah, let me go back a second.
Teams to be able to get to that top percentile, and you're going to have to spend a lot of money on the gacha if you do want to get them. So as you can see here, I have some of the best characters right here. This is pretty much the meta team for like all bosses, just like the general bossing team, which is Crown right here, Leader, Naga, Red Hood, and Scarlet Black Shadow. Particularly these last two are kind of my main DPS. Red Hood is just like a league of her own. If you don't have her, it's really hard to play the game. So when I started in 2023, I actually started during Red Hood's banner, and I got her and then kind of dropped the game for a few months. If I didn't have her, I don't know if I would have stuck around because she's just so good and makes the content so much easier. Compared to any other NIKKE, she is going to like destroy the game. So that is kind of a downside to NIKKE, is there's very clear meta NIKKEs and very clear like completely
100%.
shit, like, I'm never going to use a lot of these NIKKEs. I think I'm
okay. Nice take. That what you take. He's a chat. Plays with 0% transparency. Aims for solo raids. Understand that half of the characters are dogshit. Good takes.
Enough about the combat at this point, and to kind of put a cap on it, I do really enjoy the combat, and I do think it's worthwhile for you. Yeah, you are going to idle through maybe 95% of it, but when you are forced to turn your brain on and actually play the game, you are going to have a good time, especially just kind of building the right teams, especially when you're first starting. You're kind of like looking at abilities and seeing which ones go together, and I do think that part of the game is fun and worthwhile. It's not just an idle game, guys. We talked a little bit about characters earlier. Let's talk about how you get them and whether this is a point of contention or not. Now, this is a gacha game, so of course it's a point of contention. Am I going to say this is the worst gacha system in the world? Probably not. I mean, I'm not going to say it's generous either, though. So if we...
Hey! What you mean? Okay. Let's hear what he has to say, then we come back.
Look at the probabilities here. It's a 4% chance to get an SSR, which is pretty damn good if we look at the rest of the field. Now, the thing is that, yeah, there's a rate up character, but there's no guarantee to get it. They do have a pity system here through these golden mileage tickets, and if we go into the mileage shop, you can get whatever the limited character is for 200 of the golden mileage tickets. They do carry over between banners, so that's pretty nice, right? But 200 is a lot. So on a limited character like Asuka, especially if we know she's not coming back because this is like a collab character, it's pretty stressful if you don't have the tickets. Luckily, I have enough. But, you know, for free-to-play to low spenders, this is going to be a major point of contention, is getting characters from a banner, because to guarantee it, it takes a lot. Now, this is the same as Blue Archive. It's the same as Brown does too, so I'm...
Okay, maybe I'm tripping or maybe I'm biased, okay? I'm a filthy spender. For you free-to-plays in chat, is it... Not is it. How do you feel about, in general, the gacha system in the game? Because for me, I feel like not having a guaranteed every 200 characters or every 100 is a pain. But I believe the ticket system makes up for that, since you can always save for whatever you need specifically. And you should not use those tickets unless it's, you know, something special. Could be better? Yeah, 100%. On average, is good. In the bad luck situation is awful. The game system in NIKKE is the best, in my opinion, as a true free-to-play, because 200 is nothing compared to other games. I think 200 is a lot of pulls in the scheme of things, but I also think that tickets in NIKKE should not be used unless it's a collaboration character or a pilgrim. Everything else, you don't use tickets. Extremely generous, I never use tickets, always pull for one copy, I have 200k gems saved. Yeah, because gold tickets carrying, like Scarrow says, it is the best thing about NIKKE. That I can have here, literally, the next 6-7 banners without having to worry about anything, it's good. But then again, it's a lot of pulls as well, so it's up to RNG. I think the only change that I will make for the system to actually like make it better is actually guaranteeing a character every 100 pulls. It doesn't have to be the rate up. I understand Shift Up not wanting to do that, it is what it is. But 100 pulls, random SSR. I think that will be fucking perfect.
I'm not going to like make NIKKE out as the villain, but it still kind of sucks, right? You're never really guaranteed a character. In addition to the limited banner, we also have the standard banner, which is pretty standard in gacha games, right? So no surprise there. You do get a discounted 1 pull per day on it, which I generally kind of take part in. And I have gotten quite a few SSRs from that single pull because if you look at this banner, it's another 4% on the SSRs, or like the 5 stars, whatever you want to call them, which is pretty cool. Now that being said, there is an absolute crap ton of NIKKE, so it's very hard to target certain ones and get ones that have been out before you started playing, right? Something to help this is this wish list here. So you see I pull it up and you can choose 5 different NIKKE.
He has bunnies, schoolgirls, Miss Marcy. He has really good characters overall. I don't know how many pilgrims he has.
You kind of target on the standard banner. Now this is a pretty big pool, right? I mean, you have a chance to get 1 of 15 NIKKE, so it's not perfect, but at least they're trying to help you out a little bit. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
It could be a lot better. We've talked about the wishlist system multiple times already. It's not balanced at all, considering that there is so many characters in Tetra, so few characters in Elysium, etc. It's not balanced at all. I don't know if they plan on changing this at some point or do something different. It would be nice, but yeah. At least it helps, right? Let's say that. At least it helps.
Guys, though, this is where my main qualm with the gacha system comes in, and really just NIKKE as a whole, because it affects your whole account progression, and that is that there's so many different NIKKEs in the standard pool, and pretty much every month they're coming out with a new unit that will get an initial banner and then get put into the standard pool and never get rerun again. They do rerun limited banners, you know, maybe once a year, which is pretty cool, but as for these characters that just get put into the standard...
Limited banners are not rerun. The only characters are the seasonal characters, which could be limited, but the pilgrims and things like that, they are not rerun. It's only seasonal ones. Reruns is a topic we have to talk another day, but I hope Shift Up starts doing them, because there is too many characters that never got a banner from day one, or characters that, you know, weren't either day one characters or the ones that is good under, that people might want to get. And if you're doing a banner for Rumani, and people want to skip that, and you also do at the same time a banner for Miss Marcy, what are people gonna be pulling for? Not even Miss Marcy, since she's a new character, but any day one character that still is decent. If you give people Rumani or Volume, people will pull for Volume rather, right? But yeah, I don't know why they don't want to do them yet.
Standard pool, it's extremely hard to get them if you did not start when they initially came out. I'll give you guys an example. These are 2 very meta units down here, Blanc and Noir. Now, I got Blanc really early, and in my first 8 months, I got 3 copies of her, which is awesome, right? She's good. In order for her to work, though, on her best team, she needs her sister, Noir. Until about 2 weeks ago, in my 8 months of playing, I had no Noir, and so that just meant that one of my teams on my solo raid team was just absolute dog shit, and I couldn't really compete at the highest level. Do I need...
The duo characters for new players are really, really bad. Modernia, she's the only character that got the rerun. And it was because of the skin, I believe.
Need to, as someone who just started? No, but I'm just saying, this is a video for people who want to start the game right now. It's extremely hard to snipe certain NIKKEs that have been put in the standard pool, because as far as I'm concerned, these never get reruns. Like, any character that gets put in the standard banner will never get a rerun. I wish that they would do more rerun banners. I don't see why they don't. And also maybe reduce the amount of NIKKEs that they come out with. I mean, I'm okay with like limited NIKKEs, but every new patch they come out with a new one that could be good or could be bad. And it's just
the amount of characters is one of the things people like about NIKKE, right? Like the back-to-back events, character updates, etc. It's a great live service title. But the problem is that NIKKE doesn't balance those characters. If we get 3 characters and 2 are bad and 1 is good, it's like, okay, now I have 2 characters that I will never use until you decide to release a treasure, if you do that. If you do that.
It's going to make it extremely hard as the game goes on for newer players to get into it. I'm sitting here editing this video and I realized that I didn't even mention the absolute worst part of the...
Let me see. I see Babu with the gacha skin. Okay. I see SBS, Recto Huto. I see a Miranda semi-invested. Alright, interesting choice. Doro, Bunnies, summer characters in here. The new ones and the previous one too. With SBS, I assume from the summer banners. Alright. Really good characters for like an 8-month account. Even Ain down there for an 8-month account. Pretty good.
System, and that is the 160 wall, which is pretty infamous amongst NIKKE players. And what that is
that
each NIKKE normally can only go up to level 160. But you'll see that all of my NIKKEs are well above that at this point. And the reason is that I had to get 6 NIKKEs at max dupes. I had to keep pulling to get max dupes in order for the rest of my NIKKEs to get past 160. I won't go super in-depth with it, but just know that in order to get past level 160 on your NIKKEs, you're going to have to get 3 copies in addition to your first copy on 6 different NIKKEs, which is ridiculous. I've never heard of that in another gacha game. And
5 characters, not 6, but the 160 wall is disgusting. It's a system that they are alleviating a little bit over time. Every 6 months, you get a character with 3 stars. Now they are also adding this new system into the banner where you can get Alice, Naga, and Litter for free. 6 copies in total. You decide how you distribute that. But even with that, it's still awful for new players.
and that might be the worst part for new players. For me, I don't think about it as much because eventually you're easily going to get the max dupes, but if you're just starting out and you hit that wall, you're not going to be able to progress any further, and that really sucks. The last thing that I'd like to touch on is the daily grind and sort of overall account progression in NIKKE, because I am a crazy person that plays about 8 different gachas every day, and maybe you're not as extreme as that, but I think a lot of people are maybe trying to juggle like HSR and Genshin at the same time, and maybe want to sneak NIKKE in. So for me, I really look for games that will respect my time when I'm just doing the daily grind, because how I play these games is throughout the week, I just want to log in, quickly do my stuff, and log out, so that on the weekends when I have more time,
on NIKKE, you want to quickly log in, and you wait like 3 fucking years. These fucking load times, bro.
I can really feel like I progressed enough to engage with the harder content that I actually have fun with, right? And to be completely real with you guys, I think that NIKKE might be my longest daily grind out of all of those 8 gachas that I play every day, and that's for a couple different reasons. One is these long loading menus. There's a ton of menus in this game that you have to navigate through. I basically have to press every single one of these buttons every day, and the menus just take forever. Every single button, it's a different menu, and I don't know what they can do about this. I have a pretty good PC, so it's not an issue with me, but it's just like, I feel like half the time you're just staring at load.
It's not an issue of business, it's just technical debt at this point. The game since day one was never properly optimized, and it's been 2 years. It will never be optimized. It will only get worse over time. I don't think they will go back and try to fix it. I don't think it's ever gonna be like their priority. It is what it is. Technological debt over time only piles up, and in the case of NIKKE, we are unlucky that it is the loading times.
Loading screens, which is pretty obnoxious. The second is there's also just a bunch of daily stuff to do that requires manual play, or at least just looking at loading screens and menus a lot and just kind of waiting to click on the next thing. And it's not really engaging gameplay, to be honest. Like, to clear all this stuff on this menu, I won't go into what you actually have to do, but I will tell you to clear this whole menu, it's going to take you about like 10 minutes at least, which...
Yeah, for a new player, yes, because a lot of people cannot skip simulation room. A lot of people are pushing towers because it's just for a free-to-play that you need. I don't care, but for a free-to-play is good. I skip arena. I don't care about arena, but for a new player, special arena is good for the source of gems. For me, I get 1600 all the time, even without playing, but because I can't maintain that. So yeah, for a new player, it takes some time, honestly. And if you also include the loading times of NIKKE, it's kind of bad. Over time, it becomes super fast. Like, it takes for us, like what, 5 minutes? 10 minutes, maybe? Top 10 minutes?
Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're playing 8 different gachas, it really adds up. Then the last part of your daily grind is going to be to clear whatever event is going on. And there's always an event going on in NIKKE, which is a very good thing. It just adds a little bit of time on your daily grind, right? But I really like these. There's generally like a pretty good story that goes along with it, and you get a bunch of free materials and free polls. Now, right now, we have the Evangelion collab, which is sort of a larger scale than most of the events. So it even has this like overworld. We'll get these maybe every like 2 months for like anniversaries or big collabs, where you can kind of go around and there's this overworld that you engage with. While we're on the topic of events, let's get to the crux of this video and really try to answer the question, should you start playing NIKKE in 2024 as a new player? Now, if you ask me, if you are going to start playing, this is probably the perfect time to start in 2024 for a couple different reasons. One, we have this Evangelion collab, and Asuka is going to be a limited character that will never come back, and she's actually pretty good. She's looking to be like in those upper S tier ranges, and so I've definitely grabbed.
He was right at the time, but now it looks like they're getting power creep already, which always happens. But it's also now a really good time if you want to start playing with the anniversary. Hey, no, he was right at the time. Like, it's true. Like, both they were pretty good, Asuka and both Asuka, Rei, and Mari, all of them. But now Mari is getting completely fucked. Asuka will see what happens, right? Like, it's fine though. It's fine.
While you can. Also, we have to consider that the anniversary in this game is probably the best time to start. It's a lot similar to
great.
Archive if you played that, but they generally rerun the best characters at the anniversary and maybe even come out with some of the best characters.
They don't rerun them again. Modernia was like a specific thing. Looks like it's not happening again for now, but it's the best time. 200 pools, a lot of characters, so yeah.
As well. To give you guys some context, the last 2 anniversary characters that we got were Red Hood, who is still the best character in the game. It's hard to play the game without her. And then the 1.5 anniversary.
Ooh. Who do you guys think is better overall? Like, for all type of contents, for a new player, SBS or Red Hood? I'm curious. I'm kind of biased, but what did you guys think? Red Hood? Red Hood? Nah, fuck you all. SBS.
Character was crowned. She got released, and hopefully I don't get demonetized for showing this. Please pray for me. And it's looking like Red Hood might.
You don't get demonetized as long as you don't talk back to YouTube. Don't worry, all right? Just if you get demonetized, don't claim.
Get a rerun on the first anniversary. She has a skin coming out that we all voted on, and there's a pretty good chance that she'll have a banner. So that will be the perfect time to start. So the anniversary will be happening in November. Right now is August if you're watching this video when it comes out. So if you start right now, you have a good chance on getting Asuka, right? And then for the next few months, you can slowly build up your gems so that when that anniversary comes, you'll have a bunch of free-to-play gems to just completely blow on that banner and really set up your account to have good success in the coming year. I know that I talked about a lot of the negatives of this game, and I was just trying to be as objective as possible and tell you like my negative feelings, my positive feelings. But as a whole, I really do enjoy NIKKE.
I don't think he talked about a lot of negatives. I think they were pretty fair for a new player as well. He was talking about the PT system. He doesn't like that it's not guaranteed. that the game takes a long time, which for a new player is true. Dailies take a long time for new players. And that campaign, you cannot read the whole story and catch up until you are stronger, which for a lot of people, it is important. For me, I don't care, but for a lot of people, it's important. So I don't think I have like negative takes per se.
It's probably in my top 3 gacha games. The story is great. I love the characters. Even if you just play it as like a PNG collector, you're going to have a good time. Any Azure Lane fans will really love this game. And I do think it's worth a play. So if you're going to play it, I would definitely...
Azure Lane players will like the game, but Azure Lane is still on top, alright? I'm just saying, Azure Lane PNGs are still on top.
I recommend you start right now for this collab and to prepare for the anniversary. Now, I am not a NIKKE content creator, and I probably never will be. This will probably just be a one-off video, but I thought my opinion would be worthwhile sharing because I am a genuine new player who is kind of entering veteranhood, and so relaying that experience I thought might help a few people decide whether they want to play it or not. And maybe you're just a veteran watching this video, kind of seeing what the new player experience is like, and if that's the case, I hope you enjoyed. But either way, thanks so much for watching this far. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and consider subscribing.
Hey, actually, great video. Actually, good takes. I don't think he had like any weird takes overall, right? They were pretty good. Let me share the video right here so you guys can give it a watch, all right? Give it a watch. It's like this, all right? Go give it a watch as well. It was pretty good text overall. I agree with some of the stuff. Disagree with other what we were talking about. The story, I don't really care. When it comes to the new player experience, I think it does take a lot of time for players to like get used to the daily grind because NIKKE is sometimes alleviating it, sometimes making it worse. The 160 wall maybe one day disappears. The loading times will stay here forever, right? It is what it is though. All in all, great video. Let's go to our dailies because it's already past reset time, however.
役立たずは楽園から追放するのみ。ブランとノワールのショータイムです。天地万物を切るとはこういうことだ。